We haven't had lamb in such a long time, so last night I made some honey glazed lamb with Parmesan potatoes and paprika veg. So I started by boiling some baby potatoes. Then I added some butter to a mug, a bowl, whatever you want to add it to. And I added some chopped parsley, some garlic and some paprika. Then I melted that down in the microwave for about 10 seconds. So I took that butter mixture and I smeared it against the bottom of an oven-proof dish. So you want to make sure you get it completely covered and it looks something like this. Then take your Parmesan cheese and you want to get this dish really coated. You want to add a generous amount of Parmesan cheese to that butter mixture. So then I make a little glaze for the potatoes. So I add some olive oil, some garlic powder, some paprika, some truffle dust, some chopped parsley, and I give that all a good mix together. So I'm going to dip my potatoes all into this oil mixture. So once they were cooked, I cut them in half, put them into the oil, and you want to make sure you get all of the potatoes really covered in that oil. So I just take a big spoon and then I give them a good mix together. Like I said, make sure they're all completely covered in that mixture. Then we're going to get them into the pan. So I take them and put them skin side up and just layer them into the pan like this. Make sure you're pressing them down into the Parmesan as well, so you get that nice Parmesan crust once they're cooked. Once they're all layered up, they're looking like this, and I drizzle some truffle oil over the top, some truffle dust, and again a generous amount of Parmesan cheese over the top as well. Then with that leftover oil mixture, I get my veg coated in that. Then the veg and the Parmesan potatoes go into the oven at 180 for around 20 minutes. Then I get started on my lamb. So I season my lamb up with some all-purpose, some ground cumin, some garlic granules, some Worcestershire sauce, and a drizzle of oil to get that all stuck. I use my hands to make sure they're all coated, and this is how they're looking. Then I put some oil in a pan and I get my lamb chops into the pan. So you want it on a medium heat, and we're going to cook the lamb until it's brown on both sides. Then I make my honey glaze. So I add in some dark soy sauce, some honey and a little bit of brown sugar, and I give that a mix and cook it till it thickens up. So by this point the lamb is almost cooked, so I add in some garlic cloves. I add in about a tablespoon of butter, and once that melts I just baste the lamb in that butter. So my Parmesan potatoes and veggies were cooked then. This is how they came out of the oven looking. So it was time to plate up. Now I like a big amount of Parmesan potatoes on my plate because they're just so tasty. So I plated up the Parmesan potatoes. I got my honey glaze all drizzled over the lamb. And then it was done. So I made sure when I was cooking my lamb that I got the fat nice and crispy as well. So I made sure that I cooked it on the side the fat was on too. So that was lovely and crispy. The lamb was so tender. And look at these Parmesan potatoes, the way that the Parmesan had crisped up all over the potatoes. Even that paprika veg, everything about it was so, so good. This went down an absolute treat with my fiance because we haven't had lamb for so long. It was just so nice to have a little change. And let's just have a little close-up of those Parmesan potatoes again. Look how good they look. Let me know if you try this recipe and how you find it.